Every TikTok influencer, shorts creator, or reels uploader has a handful of transitions they use in every video to set the pace of their content. Whether it's covering the camera with their hand, adjusting the positioning before steadying, zooming in, zooming out, there's a method to all of the madness. And today, we're going to break all of it down, going through different types of social media content and their transitions so that you can understand how to pace your shorts and grab an audience's attention. First, let's do fashion influencers. They use probably the most camera moving techniques of any social media creator who isn't literally a film director, and this is because they want to get their outfits in as many angles as possible. One type is a spin transition, holding the camera at an arm's length, quickly rotating it to your opposite side, then once the camera gets to a 90-degree angle, quickly cut to the other side. This entirely relies upon matching the speed of the movement, but if you get it right, there's multiple ways to change it up. There's also simply walking into the camera and out of it. This emulates the motion of walking down the runway, which of course any fashion influencer would want to reference. Another version of this is putting one's hand over the camera and revealing a transition. Another common opening transition is starting the shot from outside a closed door and simply opening it to reveal oneself. It's pretty simple, but it establishes an everyday casualty to the mood in a "you can do this too" kind of way. Another popular trend is wearing versus styling, where people will show a side-by-side video of a casual, typical way of wearing clothes, and another version with tucking tips, additional layers, jackets, accessories, and other tips to create a more detailed outfit. Side-by-side shots are naturally good at comparison, and the creator is hoping that the audience feels the contrast relatable but also helpful. It's so popular, I've even seen the trend mocked by other creators.
Well, better.
Now let's talk about rant storytelling. This is one of the hottest new forms of content, especially on Instagram Reels. People just ranting about an experience they had in front of the camera. The most common transition here is setting the camera down before the start of the monologue. It's meant to bring an authentic feel to the conversation, like you're really in this person's room, listening to their story. It's kind of like those super fake YouTube apology endings where they get up to turn the camera off, except here it's quicker and at the beginning of the video. They'll often be filmed in the person's car with the camera being set on the dashboard. It also reminds me of the explosion in food reviews that take place in people's cars. A recent trend in these videos is slowing down one's voice when some sort of punchline or shocking thing is said.
Oh no, my girlfriend dumped me.
Who cares?
It's almost the equivalent of a stand-up comedian stopping their story once they've said a punchline. It gives the audience time to react and laugh at whatever was said, and it can be seen all across different types of storytelling content. Now let's talk about artists and the different types of time transitions they use. Art takes time. It's not something you can show the entire unedited process for, so time skips are critical. People that draw in pencil tend to shove the camera deep into the paper mid-process and then retract it after they're done to reveal the final product. A lot of this is because the aesthetic of pencil on paper is very rough and raw, and showing those details up close is ideal, meaning the camera is already very close to the material itself. However, it can also be used for comedic purposes. Say you're drawing some sort of disturbing meme image. Revealing it at once can create a punchline effect. Zooming in further is therefore an easy maneuver. Painters, on the other hand, tend to stay a little farther from the camera, possibly because of the influence of Bob Ross on painting content. The entire field is shown, with cuts throughout the major strokes. Painters are far less likely to use sped up videos, unlike digital artists, for example, because painting is inherently seen as relaxing content, and thus a speed transition would go against that. Crafts content, like crocheting, will often be segmented like a tutorial, with narration alongside it. Sometimes canvas and digital artists narrate, but it's much more common with craft artists, because the artists themselves interact with the art in a more three-dimensional way, so they feel more involved. They'll use faster cuts through montages, but once it's done, use fewer editing techniques. Finally, let's do food influencers. The appeal is, obviously, the visual aesthetic of the food, and thus the camera will often start really close to, say, a sandwich being cut in half, or a pastry being torn apart. Editors will often slow down the footage to allow for more details to be shown. Food often gets paired with travel and vlogging content, going outside and seeing the world. So let's break down what types of transitions they use. Typically, they're filmed with handheld phone cameras, starting with above angles of the vlogger's face, followed by quick cuts of walking through the streets. And once we arrive at the restaurant or food spot, the camera gets much more controlled, often with a slight pan along the food spot's name. Then, once the food arrives, a zoomed shot of the food, perhaps in slow motion, before a regular speed shot of them biting the food, but only for a second, quickly hard cutting in the middle of the bite to their after reaction, and then proceeding to the next item. The reason the narration is often done afterwards is because food spots are typically crowded, indoors, and noisy, so a calming, controlled narration dubbed afterwards is ideal. Cooking tutorials are slightly different. It's a combination of time skips and zoom-ins. Zach Choi, for example, combines ASMR sound satisfaction with the tutorial. He uses cuts between every single knife stroke, and when any part of the process has a repeated action, like say poking a chicken breast with a fork, he starts at normal speed but slowly speeds up the footage. All this is done to keep a task that is monotonous to many, cooking, to be fast and energetic while creating a sound rhythm to the activity that engages audiences. And those are various transitions that short content creators use. What would you use in your videos? Let us know down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.